Hey friends, James here. Today we're going to read Psalm 64. Let's take a look at it together. Psalm 64. To the choir master, a psalm of David. Hear my voice, O God, in my complaint. Preserve my life from dread of the enemy. Hide me from the secret plots of the wicked, from the throng of evildoers, who whet their tongues like swords, who aim bitter words like arrows, shooting from ambush at the blameless, shooting at him suddenly and without fear. They hold fast to their purpose. They talk of laying snares secretly, thinking, who can see them? They search out injustice, saying, we have accomplished a diligent search. For the inward mind and heart of a man are deep. But God shoots his arrows at them. They are wounded suddenly. They are brought to ruin with their own tongues turned against them. All who see will wag their heads. Then all mankind fears. They tell what God has brought about and ponder what he has done. Let the righteous one rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart exalt. Once again, then, the psalmist is confronted by enemies. It seems that throughout so much of David's life, he was dealing with difficulty and contention on every side. They are a normal, expected part of life. And in this psalm, David goes into great detail in describing what his enemies are up to. You see this in the first whole section of the psalm. I mean, the whole psalm is only 10 verses long, and the first 6 are just dedicated to a description of what the enemies are up to. They are pressing, they are immediate, they are on his mind. But in the midst of even situations like this, David does what? He once again reminds himself that God is in control, that he sees all, that he will not let anything unfold that's not part of his plan, that he rules and reigns the whole world and even our individual lives too. And so this doesn't take up much of the psalm. Most of the psalm is made up with a complaint about his enemies. This truth is so significant, so profound, that David is freed to do verse 10. Let the righteous one rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart exalt. Again, rest for our hearts, rest for our souls is not found by focusing solely on our challenges, solely on our difficulties, turning them over and over in our minds. It is fine, of course, to think on them, as David does in the first half of this psalm, but relief comes when we turn from them to our God. Relief comes when we remember that he rules, he reigns, he's in charge, and that we can trust him today. And so as I start out this day, I'm praying that I'll live with a joyful obedience, being faithful to what God has called me to, as he rules and reigns over all the earth. Would our hearts be directed to and taken with his goodness. Psalm 64. Let the righteous one rejoice in the Lord.